let's talk about affirmations and specifically why affirmations don't always work. So earlier this week, I was on the phone with a client, and she's actually a new client, and she was explaining just how frustrated she is. You know, one of the things that she wants so badly is to attract love in her life. And I believe she's in her late 30s or her early 40s. And, you know, this is something that she's struggled with on and off. And she's been using some of Louise Hay's stuff. And I can't remember who the other author is, but she's been using quite a few mantras, and yet no results, nothing's happening. So I know that this is something that so many of us struggle with in all different areas of life. It could be business, it could be interpersonal relationships, it can be at literally anything, weight, you know, that sort of thing. So let's just dive in a little bit into kind of like what a mantra is, right? Because I recognize that my audience base is like people who have been doing diehard spiritual stuff for like decades, as well as people who are just new to this spirituality stuff and are just kind of trying to figure things out. So a mantra for me is kind of like a power statement. It's something that you say to yourself repeatedly with the intention of actually having it come true. So an example might be, I want to make $10 million, and you would say, I am making $10 million. Now, in movies like The Secret and stuff like that, they really talk about the importance of you really feeling like in the moment, right now, as you're saying the mantra, having the experience like it's actually happening and it's actually true. And it doesn't matter if you're listening to The Secret or Dr. Joe Dispenza or many other authors who talk about the law of attraction from different standpoints, scientific standpoints, as well as just pure woo standpoints. The whole idea is you've got to really be in that mantra for it to happen. So I've already touched on why they don't work, but I know I've got to give you a little bit more. I can't just leave you with that, right? So this is kind of what happens, right? You know, when we're trying to rewire our brain. Actually, let me go back a little bit. So one of the best ways that we learn things is through repetition. So for example, if you have a 6-year-old child and you're constantly telling him, you're so lazy, you're so lazy, you're so lazy, you're so lazy. Or if you have a daughter and you tell her, you're not good at math, you're not good at math, you're not good at math, you're not good at math. Then over time, because you've been repeating that over and over and over to that child, and that child is taking your words and then saying, I'm not good at math, I'm not good at math, I'm not good at math, for example, they're going to believe it, and not only are they going to believe it, but it's also going to be embedded into their subconscious mind that they're not good at math, or they're so lazy, or whatever that thing is. The brain sort of just takes over and says, well, this has been repeated enough times. I know how to run this program. Don't worry. You go ahead and think about the other things that you need your conscious mind for. I'll just run this program in the background. And so then what happens is you have this child that has low self-esteem or low feeling of self-worth. And that's kind of like how the earliest mantras or the earliest beliefs are created within children. Now, understand there are lots of other things that make up the subconscious mind. It's not just words being said, but sometimes it's incidences that happen, and even the things that haven't happened or didn't happen. In fact, when I'm working with my clients, a lot of the times it's the love that they didn't receive in the way that they understood it that actually creates the biggest problems, not so much the stuff that actually happened. So anyway, that's another side, and we can talk about that in another video, but that's kind of how the earliest mantras set in. When we're working on mantras and affirmations now, from this spiritual perspective that I'm giving you, it's like what we're trying to do is rewire the brain, or we're trying to self-correct. So those old mantras or those old beliefs that we've got underneath, we're now adding something new with the hopes that it will replace whatever has been blocking us or stopping us. Now, absolutely, when we're looking at retraining the subconscious mind, repetition really works. And so there are some mantras that you can repeat to yourself over and over by saying them out loud, or by reading them over and over again, or by writing them on a mirror or a whiteboard, and they'll start to sink in and they'll start to work. They tend to work because there's a part of you that really believes them to be true, or at least believes somewhat that they're true. So that's kind of why those ones are effective. In the areas where you're struggling the most, and you're using mantras every day, you've been using them for years and powerfully, maybe you've been doing vision boards and reading books and all that kind of stuff, part of the reason why it's not working is because there's stuff going on underneath it. So, if you slap a Band-Aid on something that needs stitches or a gaping wound, likely what's going to happen is you're going to have an infection, it's going to fester, that wound is just not going to heal. Like a Band-Aid is just not the right solution for it. Meanwhile, there are some boo-boos that we get, right? Little cut, little scrape, and they're not so bad. So it is okay to use something like a Band-Aid. A Band-Aid will do the trick to help heal it up. So it's about really understanding what kind of wound we're dealing with. Are we dealing with something that's a little bump, a little scratch or scrape, and so we can use mantras to sort of overpower the limiting belief? Or is there a really deep wound, an infection, maybe even something that could cause an amputation in our lives, in the area that we're looking at, that really requires us to dig deep and pull out the root, pull out what's really going on. So that's part of the reason why some mantras don't work, is that particular tool is just not effective given the size of the injury or the size of the wound or pattern. So that doesn't mean that you can't use a mantra at all in those areas. It means let's be honest with ourselves and let's be realistic, right? So for example, if you want to attract love in your life and you're using a mantra like, I'm going to meet the man of my dreams today. I'm going to meet the man of my dreams today, because you really want to call love into your life today. But when you say that mantra, it kind of feels icky. It kind of feels weird. It doesn't really feel like true, like you almost have to convince yourself. Then the chances are that that mantra is not going to work for you. One, because you're messing with your sense of intuition, and you're messing with that internal state that's saying, no, it's not going to happen. So it doesn't feel good. The law of attraction or vibration. I'll touch on this law of attraction just a little bit. So if you're new to this, you should be able to follow this. And if you're old to the law of attraction, then it's a great reminder. The law of attraction is all about us attracting that which we are in the moment, not that which we are mantraing to be in the future, that which we are hoping to be in the future, or anything like that. The point of attraction is always from the subconscious mind. Why? Because the subconscious mind is what is operational 95% of the time. That is where you're doing most of your attracting from. Really great to be doing things like mantras. When you're doing a mantra, you're doing that from your very, very conscious state, okay? When you're doing vision boards, when you're sitting in a group with your friends, your sisters, your people, your tribe, all that awesome stuff, or you're watching Super Soul TV and you're having aha moment after aha moment, what you're really tapping into a lot of the time is the stuff that's happening on the conscious level of self. It's not to say that things aren't being dragged up from that subconscious self, but unless you have support or the tools to be able to know how to piece things together, typically what happens is we watch something, we have a breakthrough, we have an aha moment, but then we slide back into those old patterns and problems because we haven't deactivated the old program. We got to deactivate the old program. So, in an area where you're really stuck, and this is kind of what I helped her work through, because her and I are actually working on where the beliefs are, what is the root cause at her young child self that created the thing that's been blocking her from attracting love and bringing in the wrong guys and just like really just not being treated the way she deserves to be treated. I mean, she's absolutely gorgeous. She's beautiful. She's just a kind soul. And there's absolutely no reason whatsoever why she couldn't find love. And the reality is, my friends, is it doesn't matter who you are watching this or what you've got going on in your life. Let's say what you want is love. You're totally deserving of that. And we have seen people throughout history of all ages, races, sexes, abilities, orientation, like you name it. And those people can find love. So can you. Or those people can lose weight, so can you. Or those people can create a dream life, so can you. So what we know is that there is nothing fundamentally wrong with you, although I know we often feel that way, don't we? But there's nothing fundamentally wrong with you or any different about you than there is with someone else. It's all literally just about being able to find the root cause and then using mantras that actually work. So I want to give you an example of how to use mantras effectively in an area where you're really struggling or the pattern has been really you know? So don't lie to yourself. This is what I say. Don't lie to yourself, instead level up. So for example, don't say, I'm ready for love, if you're not sure if you're ready for love, or if you really know if you're ready for love. And I don't mean ready as in wanting, like yes, you want love, but how do you know you're really ready, right? Sometimes there's a little thing in the back of your mind that questions you, isn't there? So if you experience that, say something that would feel more congruent and alignment and true for you, and yet pulls you into a higher vibrational space. Here's an example. I am so open to the possibilities that love has in store for me today. Doesn't that excite you? Like if the area for you is love, doesn't that make you feel good? The idea of a surprise, the idea of something wonderful happening, of being blessed by an opportunity that love has for you and that you're open to that, feels good, it feels right, and it takes you out of that cynicism. It takes you out of the old beliefs and has you be open. It might not have you, or it can, but it may not have you attract that person immediately. But what I can tell you for sure is that it is a level up from wherever you were in the feeling of it's never going to happen, or the feeling of just believing that mantras don't work at all, right? Feeling like there's nothing that's going to work. I've said a lot in this video, and I'm hoping that this has been really helpful and it's making a lot of sense for you. Of course, if you want a little bit more clarity on this, leave me a message down below in the comments or wherever you're watching this. What else do I want to say about this? I feel like there's so much I can say about this. But yeah, don't lie to yourself. Just find the thing that's closest to the truth and do the emotional work so that you can really dissolve what's happening with you at a subconscious level. A lot of the time in my experience, the things that we're dealing with as an adult are things that happened in our childhood and maybe even early teens, you know, and we just don't realize that so much of our personality and our perception of the way things are, or the way we view the world and the way we view love or people, are shaped from those things that happened early on. And I'm telling you right now that there's a lot of things that are happening beneath the surface for you, for me, for all of us, that we didn't even realize were there. This is not about planting something in your mind that wasn't there. This is about understanding the complexity of the mind and the brain and the way emotions work and the way the personality is developed, and really seeing that, God, this brain is one of the most amazing things ever. But it literally will take control of your life if you don't activate your higher self and use your higher self to control your own body, your brain, and your own fate. So So I hope this has been helpful. I do want to say one thing, because I recognize that in a vlog I did a couple of weeks ago about how to deal with moodiness, I did get a couple of questions, and I sat down to film this video yesterday and today on that topic, how to deal with other people's moodiness, and I was just getting blocked from the universe in 6 different ways. First, the camera seemed to be broken or something was off with it. Then the battery died and something was off with it. And then I would sit down and I would start yawning and yawning and yawning and yawning, and then something else happened, like the phone rang, there was an emergency. Like, I kept getting blocked. And so I'm a person that follows my intuition, you all know that, and for some reason that particular topic for that video was not meant to happen. It just wasn't the divine timing for it. So I want you to know that I do have it on my list, and I will reply in a video. Or at the very least, if for some reason I keep getting blocked, I will go back to that video and I will reply with some sort of note. But I just want you to know that I haven't forgotten. And I want you to know that I have a ton of video requests and lots of videos coming out. So if you did send me a video request either on Instagram or here on YouTube or even through my inbox at my website, it's on the list and I totally will get to it. You guys, you all know I'm here to support you. You know I'm on Instagram every single day, sometimes a couple times a day. So find me there, Modern Day Wise Woman, all one word, all capitals, if you want some support there. And of course, all the links for how to work with me one-on-one for some support are all in the descriptions in the description box also. All right, I'm gonna go and have some coffee and get some work done, and I will see you guys next week.